SonoAdriatic Tales, Adriatic Garden, Aqua Forensics 2.0, sound art and field recordings of the above and underwater wilderness of Adriatic Sea. The Adriatic Garden, a special program part devoted to the sonic wilderness of Adriatic Sea, enables the audiences also to immerse themselves into soundscapes of under and above water in the sonic wilderness of the Adriatic Sea. sonoAdriatic Tales is co-curated by Manja Ristic and Robertina Šebjanić. sonoAdriatic Tales immerses audience into the underwater world and take notice of the soundscapes of both under and above water. Audiences will be able to listen to the sounds from the islands of Korčula and Vis, reflection of the artist on the tide, circulation of the water body, diving in submerged caves of Quarner Bay area. Some of the works that will be presented are dealing with underwater noise pollution, from human sonic impact on the underwater habitat and marine life. The presence of the morphologies hidden in the palimpsests of memory of the places once heavily exploited in the name of urbanization, tourism and industrial progress that marks the Adriatic Sea and its histories. The artists that we are presenting in sonoAdriatic Tales are Brane Zorman with the work Sea Urchin Underwater Walk, Sasha Spačal with the work Tides, Roberto Vodanovic with the work The Mist Where Circle Begins, Iva Vicic with the work Undersea, Leah Barkley with the work Shifting Nature, which is part of the Ocean Listening Project, Robertina Šebjanić with the work Aquatocene, and Manja Ristic with the work Succubus Mnemonics. Brane Zorman, the work Sea Urchin Underwater Walk, recorded 2019 and 2020. The location Molat Island, Croatia. Almost silent and barely moving travelers, cleaning waters and wiping out sediments and organic remains. When they move over the seabed, they do it like buto dancers, slowly moving their tube feet, not losing balance, no matter the surface. Slowly and gently they touch the surface, making almost no noise, unlike their predators. They walk, they stop, they travel. Composition Sea Urchin Underwater Walk is a result of many hours of recordings using nylon strings net laid under sea urchins, picked up and amplified by different piezo preamps. Underwater recordings were further condensed in the studio while removing many bumps and unwanted sounds created by waves and fish. Brane Zorman is composer, sound and radio artist, sound manipulator and producer based in Ljubljana, Slovenia. He has composed numerous theater, dance, internet, new media events and dance performance sound works. His work examines and explores the possibility of presence, perception, understanding, positioning, manipulating and reinterpreting sounds as spaces with special focus on uncovering the unseen, unheard and hidden nature and artificial sounds. Sasha Spacha, composition Tides, year 2017. Location of the recording Sveti Ivan, Istria, Croatia. Tides, constant waves on the surface of the earth, are trying to find that perfect balance of waters for specific space-time conditions. Sometimes tides have deviations. Sometimes humans cause them. Sometimes there comes a time for flood or drought, to reset the cycle, to reset the population, to reset the time. Sasha Spachal is a post-media artist working at the intersection of living systems, research, contemporary and sound art. Her artistic research focuses on entanglements of the environment-culture continuum. By developing interfaces and relations with soul agents, she addresses the post-human condition that involves mechanical, digital and organic logic within biopolitics and necropolitics of our times. Roberto Vodanovic Chopor. Field recording and hydrophone recording are made at the bay of Srebrena on the southeast side of the island of Vis in July 2020. He tended to catch underwater and above water sound and then merge two worlds that are seemingly separated but are part of the one same microenvironment. Roberto Vodanovic Chopor is a multimedia artist. In his music, he often combines the sounds of nature or the sounds of cities, and as a background he uses the sounds created from everyday objects. He has published 3 collections of poetry: Insomnia, Almost a Little Book, and Walls Are Barking. So far, He has had several exhibitions of his artworks. Ivo Vicic, Under Sea. The recordings I made in the Adriatic Sea, both underwater and above water, mostly in the Quarner Bay and at the port of Rijeka. Precise locations are diving in submerged cave recorded in secret location near Rijeka, water breaker recorded at Mololongo port of Rijeka, sea organ recorded at the now destroyed beach at Costa Bella, Rijeka, now new hotel resort. Under the ship recorded in port of Rijeka, Mololongo. Harbor underwater soundscape recorded in port of Rijeka. Small port on Shiloko wind recorded in Prelug Bay near Opatia. Under the waves recorded in the beach near Opatia. Diver in the shallow sea recorded in Kostrena near Rijeka. Long beach recorded in Kostrena, beach Kostanj near Rijeka. Ivo Vicic is a sound recordist, wildlife sound recordist and music producer. Ivo has been recording natural sounds for many years now, and his portfolio included sounds for documentaries, ambient music, art installations, and sound backgrounds. He is also on-location sound recordist on demand. His field recordings are included in British Library catalogue. Leah Barkley, Shifting Nature as part of the Ocean Listening Project. In July 2014, Leah Barkley was an artist in residence at Siva Zona Gallery at Korčula Island in Croatia as a part of the Pacific Shortcuts project. The work is an ephemeral experience that slides through vivid landscapes and rich cultural traditions. Ocean Listening is an interdisciplinary research project that explores the creative possibilities of marine bioacoustics and the potential for sound as a tool for engagement and awareness around ocean health. The project sits within a portfolio of acoustic ecology research led by Leah Barkley at the Queensland Conservatorium Research Centre at Griffin University in Australia. Leah Barkley is a sound artist, designer and researcher who works at the intersection of art, science and technology. Leah's research and creative work over the last decade has investigated innovative approaches to recording and disseminating the soundscapes of terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems to inform conservation, scientific research and public engagement. Her work explores ways we can use creativity, new technologies, and emerging science to reconnect communities to the environment and inspire climate action. The work Succubus Mnemonics by Anja Ristic reveals invisible chambers of the microenvironments of the specific places that were once heavily exploited. Those are the places that suffered environmental devastation, such as abandoned quarries, open large-scale stone-cutting sites, stone trade docking sites, which were for many centuries locale for the trade, reaching as far as the American continent. Next to the inconceivable scale of home building, the raw material of those is also engraved in numerous historical constructions, such as cathedrals, churches, town halls and public squares all around Europe and further. Robertina Šebjanić. The work Aquatocene, the subaquatic quest for serenity. The audio compositions of the subaquatic soundscape encourage us to reflect upon the anthropogenic sonic impact of the underwater habitat and marine life, as well as illuminate awareness and underscore the importance of maintaining safe sound environments for animals living in the world's oceans, seas, lakes, and rivers. Aquatocene, the subaquatic quest for serenity, investigates the phenomenon of underwater noise pollution created by humankind in the seas and oceans. The sound compositions are a remix between the bioacoustics of marine life, shrimps, fish, sea urchins, etc., and the aquatic acoustics and the presence of human-generated noise in the world's oceans and seas. This series of works is now focusing on the underwater sound situations of Adriatic Sea.
I'm more than happy to introduce you as our guest curator inside of our program Adriatic Garden. Manya, would you mind to say a few words who you are, what you do?
I'm also very pleased to join you today and introduce what we've been working on together for quite some time. I'm a classical violinist who at certain point took a completely different route than what was expected. I lived for quite some time on the island of Korčula, which is my motherland basically, where I grew up, where my mother was born, and I'm very deeply connected to this place, both because of the family, but also because the environment that formed, so to say, my artistic expressions. And in that sense, I'm very pleased that we are doing this little program that is conceptualized around Adriatic wilderness, something that is personally very important to me.
we managed to be together on your island. A few years ago, I had been having arts residency at Sivatsona as a grey zone. And I remember when I was there, we spoke both about Luke Ferrari's work also. As he's like very present there in Korčula, isn't he?
Yes, Luke Ferrari, it's always mentioned in this context because Korčula was a gathering place for artists in 20th century, and basically Luke Ferrari came here in 1968. You can imagine that there was no mention of tourism at that time. It was a small island with small towns, Venetian towns and fishing villages. And this was a very inspiring place for artists like him. But what he did, and what is very interesting for us, is he made the piece during his residence called Almost Nothing or Daybreak at the Seashore. The piece that represents one of the most significant milestones in the development of field recording as we understand it now. And his piece from the 68, from Bela Luka, is both composition and it's an execution of auditory memory making, which is something that we today call soundscape composition and field recording. And this work basically demonstrates the capacity of Ferrari's listening and sets a framework for future executions of the relational conditions between human listening and the technology that we are using to hear sounds that are, so to say, out of reach for us, like underwater sounds of microenvironment field recordings.
When we have been trying to find the artists we would include into our sonoAdriatic Tales program, I think it was very interesting to go back and forth in this context because the works which we have and we will present now today, there are also somewhere in between. Some of them the compositions, some of them the really more like only field recordings, some of them the showing both of it. And I think that I hope that this will also help to immerse the audience more into Adriatic Sea, not only through the visual, but also through the sonic experience.
The artists that are actually examining more than just an active listening and going more into rethinking the treatment of Adriatic that suffers a lot, being so to say a shallow part of Mediterranean and exposed a lot to pollution, to mass tourism and the backlashes of it, and a lot of exploitations of different kinds. So we have this listening practice, we have this storytelling practice, and we have the actual merging of it, which goes into environmental activism.
So Manja, thank you very much for this very, very engaging, thoughtful, and yeah, I'm happy that we can think together. That's very important, I think.
Thanks, Robertina. Definitely, this is a very wonderful occasion, and I'm looking forward to hear how audience will accept our sonoAdriatic Tales, and I'm really looking forward to expanding this collaboration on thematic scopes and fields that we are both very much into. So thanks a lot. It was very lovely to see you, and I send greets from this wonderful island of Korčula.
sonoAdriatic Tales, Adriatic Garden, Aqua Forensics 2.0, sound art and field recordings of the above and underwater wilderness of Adriatic Sea. The artist that we are presenting in sonoAdriatic Tales are Brane Zorman with the work Sea Urchin Underwater Walk, Sasha Spachal with the work Tides, Roberto Vodanovic with the work The Mist Where Circle Begins, Ivo Vicic with the work Undersea, Leah Barkley with the work Shifting Nature, which is part of the Ocean Listening Project, Robertina Šebjanić with the work Aquatocene, and Manja Ristic with the work Succubus Mnemonics.